Welcome to the Jboy Show, hosted by Jake Crain, the fastest growing sports show in the nation.
I'm Coach Hugh Freeze.
This is Super Bowl champion Brandon Graham.
Hey, this is DJ Shockley, and you're watching.
And thanks for watching the Jboy Show.
Hello, everybody, and thanks again for joining us. Whether it's the morning, afternoon, evening, or if you're having a nightcap, we just appreciate you watching or listening. Remember to hit that subscribe on the YouTube channel, Apple Podcast, and Spotify. Got another great guest today, and the timing is perfect. A coach that was one of the few teams, if not the only team, to play against Baylor and Gonzaga. Before I get there, though, I want to give a shout out to our partners at betonline.ag. Head over there today with the online casino. It's always open. Got Major League Baseball opening up, even though my Braves, with the new California rule and the extra innings, fell a little short yesterday, even though Panda hit the orbit of Mars. Make sure you head over there. It's a lot of fun. Got a lot of stuff going on. That's betonline.ag. Head over there today. But very excited, as I usually am. Going to keep trying to pile on the great guests to be able to take you guys behind the scenes on the hardwood, the gridiron, the diamond, whatever you want to call it. We're trying to make you the most informed audience out there. That's why our logo and motto is win the water cooler. But we have assistant men's basketball coach at Auburn University, Coach Chad Prewett. Coach, what's up, man? I appreciate you coming on.
What's up, brother? How are you?
I'm doing great, man. It's always great when we get a chance to catch up, man. I know you guys are busy right now. And, I want to start. We got some things I want to get into because, you guys have unbelievable insight in many different areas. But it was just announced that Auburn point guard last year, Sharife Cooper, is going to go into the NBA draft and forego coming back. Number one, congratulations to you guys as a staff. That's 3 years in a row that Auburn's going to have a first-round pick in basketball. That's something, and like I told you earlier, not that nobody believed when this new regime took over, but I've watched it my whole life. And to see something like that happen, that's really a pillar. Congrats to you. Congrats to Shareef and his family, Tia, the whole group out there. It really must be amazing. And I know the feeling to watch guys high school to college have a chance at that next level. But I know you're very proud of him and what he was able to do on his path to the dream of all these kids, which is to play in the association.
Yeah, what a great young man, too. Just a winner. Shareef's a winner. And he has that it factor, that you talk about when you see great players, and, just excited for him. Obviously, he came, he's been around this program for a long time. He loved what we were doing for many years and came over to Auburn so many times. And then to come over and believe in what we were doing, obviously, even really before we were great, That's what I think about when I think about, Chuma and Isaac and Shareef and, those guys believing in us. Now, the last couple of years have been a little easier to jump on because we've been really good. But before that, those guys having to believe in us before, we're able to get it done on the court. So just excited really for all three of those guys. Chuma's playing unbelievable right now. Isaac's had a great year. So it's a great time for Auburn basketball.
It really is, Coach. And something we talk about a lot with every team, with every college sport, whether it be college baseball, college football, is when you turn yourself, I guess you could say, kind of into the middleman or the path layer for guys to go to the next level, to get paid to do this professionally. And then you go recruit some of the top prospects in the country. It's got to make it a little bit easier. The success is great and all that. But when you're able to go into a living room and look at mama or daddy in the eye and say, listen, this isn't just coach speak. This isn't just words. Look at Isaac Okoro. Look at Chuma Okeke. Look at the guys like Jared Harper working his way up, Bryce Brown. And to have the ability to go in there really opens up even more avenues. And you look at that signing a guy like Jabari Smith Jr., the highest rated guy ever. And I know there's some more out there that haven't signed the dotted line yet that you guys are really in the fight for. It's got to make that a little bit easier. And can you just speak about how that helps build the program and really turn it into a machine? Because if you got a bunch of future NBA players on the court with the coaching staff you guys got, it's going to be hell come the time that tip-off comes.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, you're talking about, every guy wants to get to the NBA. So you're talking about young people now that is their goal and their dream from day one. So how can you get there? How can you have a great experience, but how can you get to the league? I think is something that we constantly hear. And I think having those guys, several years in a row now, be able to realize their dream obviously just sets us up for for great things in the future. And, everybody's watching the age of social media where everybody's knowing everything and everybody's talking to each other. It's just a big deal for those guys to have that kind of success like those guys are having right now.
Without a doubt. I mean, even guys, and I know you can't really comment on this, but even guys that have declared and still have the option to return. Can you talk about, to me, I call it the ultimate study guide. When you put your name in there and you're able to kind of get some feedback, when you're able to get it and find out really what they're looking at in your game, what you need to work on. If you do decide to come back, is that not something that is a really useful tool for players that are, maybe kind of in the middle of that decision or kind of in the process of figuring out who they are? Do I need to get stronger? Do I need to work on my left more? Do I need to work on my lateral quickness? Stuff like that. How important is it to be able to use that? And again, it's associating your team with the NBA. So it's a good look all around, in my opinion.
Yeah, no doubt. And, this time of the year too, when you think about, April, May, June, even the summertime, but especially before the NBA draft, those guys are working on their craft to be able to hear their name be called. And so I think when you see that, when you hear that feedback from those guys that, hey, this is what I need to work on, this is where I'm strong, but this is where I have some weaknesses, it does help them. And our gym's constantly full of guys working on their own on things they know that they've got to get better at. And I think that feedback is big time. I think it's something that they can take and help them get from where they are to where they want to go.
Without a doubt. And I think you hit the nail on the head there. And obviously being in it and seeing that, it just helps with everything, the culture, the improvement, getting guys to get their game better. And that they want it. And at the end of the day, if you don't want it, you're not going to get it. And that goes back to recruiting guys that fit not only the scheme that you play and the style that you play, but the mentality that you want your guys to play with. And I think that's the difference in Auburn basketball now and a lot of SEC teams that are having success. But, Coach, I want to shift gears. How excited are you next year? I know the team's going to be talented. I'm going to ask you just the craziness of the transfer portal right now, because as a former guy that recruited, I find that a really interesting question. You kind of go from 0 to 60 in less than 3 seconds. But next year, we know about this year, the craziness, the pandemic, all the other things associated with it. But getting back to the dance, we got March Madness back. How excited are you guys to get back to work? We all know how fast the season comes. We'll blink our eyes and it'll be here next year. How excited are you to hopefully fill that arena up, get the jungle rocking, get the Tigers out per se, hearing the students, because we all know that it has a huge effect on the game, and getting back to playing in March where y'all have become a mainstay, not only a mainstay, but a team that advances?
Well, we've been obviously watching a lot of film the last 2 or 3 weeks and looking back at some of those games from the last 2 or 3 years with the jungle going absolutely nuts, and we think that Auburn Arena is the best, college experience, college opportunity for those guys to come in here and be around than anywhere else in the country. And it's made such a huge difference for us. And, going back, I guess yesterday was 2 years ago, we had won the Elite Eight game, went to the Final Four. So going back and looking at some of those clips, just kind of gives you chill bumps, but also motivates you to a whole nother level to see what those guys were able to accomplish at Auburn. And obviously it was a special group. It was a group that we felt like had kind of paid their dues and kind of been through some things together. And found themselves in a position that, hey, we're going to get a stop right now because we want to win the game. We're going to execute right now because we want to win the game. It was fun to watch. And so when you go back and look at that, and then you couple that with turning on the TV and watching this crazy tournament this year, we really miss it. We do. It's something that motivates us. We're excited about the future. We want to get back there. I mean, our goal is to get back to the Final Four.
Yeah, and with the talent y'all are bringing in, we all know, rosters, especially nowadays in college basketball, change a lot, but you keep funneling talent in, good things are going to happen. And, Coach, I'm going to ask you about that for a second, because this tournament, and I've got kind of a theory on this, and I've bounced this question off other guests that we've had on that are, very knowledgeable and understand it. Do you think having the games played, not all at the same place, but a very constant routine for the guys instead of having to travel once you advance and seeing new sights and going sightseeing. We used to tell our guys, never get caught sightseeing. We got a job to do. Do you think it's kind of leveled the playing field? And then you throw in the fact that there hasn't been huge crowds, and we know that higher seeds and bigger schools tend to travel well than smaller schools. Are there's a lot of little things that have added up to what I believe has been the most upset-laden tournament, or I guess the most mad of March Madness that I've seen?
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I do. I think the playing field has not only been leveled in the tournament, really throughout the year. You take Auburn Arena, where we hadn't lost very many games over the last few years in Auburn Arena with a packed house and students on the court going nuts, to seeing what we went through this year where we lost some close games, which I think the environment would have had a huge impact on. Yeah. And so it definitely has leveled the playing field. Now, I like it how it used to be. I think, and I hope we go back to that where there are different sites across the country, because I think that's part of the experience for those guys to be able to see different parts of the country. Think about our run, to Kansas City and to Salt Lake City, and then 3 years ago, going to San Diego, and then obviously going to the Final Four in Minneapolis. For those guys to go to a different site, to have to lock in again, to get ready to go to that next level, I think that's a huge part of the whole story.
It is, and I think that's a great point, and it is so interesting, especially because a lot of guys haven't been to these places. Even me, when we'd go to places, I had never been out to California. We went out to play San Diego State. It was absolutely amazing. The weather was perfect. But I do real quick, speaking about locking in, if you're not able to lock in and go to sleep and you're having trouble and your mind's racing, or you got to watch TV and you fall asleep at 2:00, hit up our friends at sundayscaries.com. Use the promotion code JBOY, JBOY. You get 25% off. It's an unbelievable CBD company. Great for your joints, great for sleep, whether you have the gummies, the strips, the drops, whatever works for you. It's nothing crazy, nothing out of the realm of normalcy. It's basically like a vitamin, in my opinion. It helps me sleep, helps get in that REM sleep where you're not waking up, tossing and turning. So head over to sundayscaries.com. Use the Jboy Show, the Jboy promo code. You get 25% off. And if you don't like it, you get your money back 100%. But we're here with Auburn men's basketball assistant coach Chad Prewett, one of my favorite guys to talk to, not only on the show, but being able to hit him up, because I know you guys got a lot of great things going on. And I want to ask you, Coach, about this transfer portal, because it's unbelievable. I think we're over 1,000 names now in the transfer portal. And, it's not just like guys that are at a place for 1 year. You have veteran guys. And again, I'm not going to name any. I know you can't comment on that. But you guys have hit the portal and got a guy already. It's like every day, Coach, and new guys going in. Is it hard to be like, all right, we're going to zero in on these two guys? And you're like, wait a minute. Somebody else just hit the portal, a big time player. And the second part of the question, and I don't want to get too deep, but can you talk about how it's not just about getting a player that's a good basketball player at a position of need? You have to have a guy that will fit in off the court as well and use the values that Coach Pearl, yourself, Coach Flanagan, Coach Ira, go down the list, really want to instill in these guys that matter on the court.
Man, you definitely hit it there. I think, there's so many. I think there's over 1,100 in the portal right now. And so you're talking about a lot of really talented players out there. So you can't just look at talent, and one of the things that our coaches do an incredible job of, every single one of them, is just evaluating the talent that's out there. And then us as a staff just kind of sitting down, okay, this guy fits or this guy doesn't fit. And I think when you talk about a team that's going to be talented, like we will be next year, I think it's so important to have the right guy come in. And the benefits of that will go a long way. Obviously, the flip side of that is if you have the wrong guy come in, how is that going to affect your team? And so that is something that we as a staff are working really, really hard on. Obviously, Coach Pearl leading the way of just kind of thinking about things kind of a little bit outside the box, not just what you see on film.
Yeah, and that's a great way to put it, because, like we discussed, it does matter. And stuff that happens off the court translates on the court, going to class, being punctual, doing things the right way, helping out in the community. And you guys do a great job of doing that. And Coach, before I get to a Baylor Gonzaga preview, because you guys played both Baylor and Gonzaga, which I know is great, especially for the young guys to be able to see what it looks like, to understand, what a championship team, kind of how that works. And again, you guys have had championship teams and they understand it, but being able to play against it, especially right when you come in, is just invaluable because you can always go back to that tape. You can always show them, hey, listen, this is how they do it. This is how we do it. Here's how we're going to parallel that, even if you play different styles. But coaching in the SEC now, to me, when I look at it, the way the conference depth is improving and improving and improving. You even go back 5, 7, 9, 10 years ago. When you go out and recruit now, when you walk in that school and you're an SEC member, it's not just, hey, all right, I'm here to see the football players. The basketball prospects get excited too because they know that league, and it's not just Kentucky and Florida anymore. You look down the road, you look at the coaching staffs. It's got to be fun to be able to coach in a league that gets more competitive and more competitive because, again, it does yield benefits even though it gets harder.
Well, and look, I feel like the best athletes in the world, in the country, are in the SEC.
No doubt.
It's unbelievable to see each and every week when you're on the road, when you're at home, and you see those guys come in. The kind of athletes that you're looking at and competing against. And I think you saw that. I don't remember the numbers from last year, but it seems like 12 guys from SEC maybe went in the draft. And so obviously the SEC is getting better players. And I think it's the best conference in the country. Now, I realize this year we were down a little bit. Obviously Kentucky was down a little bit, but you had a bunch of teams in this league that could beat anybody in the country on a given night. And I think you saw that. I really do. I think you saw an Alabama team and an Arkansas team, especially that kind of got hot at the right time of the year. And it kind of goes back to where we were. We made our Final Four run. I thought we peaked at the right time.
Yeah.
We didn't peak early. I remember us winning a last-second shot. We were making the last-second shot, Chumo Kiki at Georgia, and then going on like a 12 or 13 game winning streak. That year on our Final Four run. And so it's so interesting when you think about it and you watch these guys that are making these runs in a tournament. It is about talent. It is about chemistry, but you also kind of got to be peaking at the right time. And we did that.
Yeah, it's fluid, and you're exactly right. And it's funny, when Chuma hit that 3, I remember that got him going. And you look at what he's doing in the matchup. Not that he wasn't playing good, but it was almost like a light flicked on. Like, I'm going to be a little selfish, isn't the word, but it almost like it kind of broke his shell a little bit because he was the best player in the country, in my opinion, before he went down against North Carolina. And again, you see what he's doing now. It's like the Magic wanted to trade everybody but him, but that's a story for another day. But you look at Baylor and Gonzaga, Coach, 2 teams that are different. They're dominant. They're elite, but they're different. You look at Baylor, Davion Mitchell, a guy that was an Auburn transfer. It shows the talent evaluation. It's still hitting. And you look at the way they play, the way they extend you on the 3-point line. But what I think separates Baylor, and I'm going to get to Gonzaga in a second, is their physicality. I think they're very physical. Down low, they crash the boards. They do a really good job. And, there's been some games where they haven't had the 3 falling, but they're good enough to beat you in different ways. You look at the Villanova game. They're down 7 the first half, couldn't hit water if they fell out of the boat, but then decided Villanova just wasn't going to score any more points and held them to 21 in the second half and ended up winning. What is it about Baylor to you? Just a couple things that really helps them stand apart. And Scott Drew's done a really good job.
Well, I think you hit it. I mean, you're talking about defensively, some guys that'll get after you.
Yeah.
It does. It starts with Davion Mitchell, but that sets the tone. And they absolutely can just cut your water off. And I think that's what you've seen throughout the tournament when they've decided, hey, we're about to guard, they guard. And then I think another thing too, on the offensive side, is they've played small a lot. They've played with those 4 guards. And I'll be honest with you, man, they're tough to guard when they have those 4 guards that can all beat you off the bounce. And then obviously one of the best shooting teams, 3-point shooting teams in the country. They're going to be a tough out. We've been asked a lot about that matchup. And, I do think Baylor has a few weaknesses. They do give up some offensive rebounds. I do think there's some ways that you can hurt them. And we played with them. You go back and look at that game. That's a really good game. I think we were down 3 or 4 at halftime.
Yeah.
I had a chance to even cut it, I think, into that even a little more before halftime and missed a couple free throws there as we go in. But when they came back out, just kind of a little bit different level of intensity, and they bring it now. Those guys, they're going to get in a stance and they're going to guard you.
Yeah, it's amazing. You talk about them playing with four guards. It's almost like putting your dime package out there and putting the third corner at nickel and saying, all right, guys, let's run. And again, they can win in transition. They can win in slowing it down. And to me, not only do veteran guards help you in March, and I think you agree with me there, but being able to win in different ways obviously helps you advance in the tournament because the ball's not always going to be going in the bucket. Even if you get hot late, you got to win in different ways. But, Coach, looking at Gonzaga, outside of Drew Timme harnessing the power of the handlebar mustache, they've got a lot of good stuff going. You look at Jalen Suggs, to me, look, I know Cade Cunningham's an unbelievable player, but Jalen Suggs is if I was drafting, he'd be a guy that I'd definitely look at number one. But you said something earlier before we got on here about how the role players around them in Gonzaga. I think Ajayi's a very underrated player. He doesn't get talked about enough, especially on the defensive side with his length creating havoc. We all know Corey Kispert, the three-point whisperer out there. When he gets a good look and his feet even get close to set, he's going to knock it down. But Gonzaga, to me, I don't see a weakness there. That Timme isn't dominant down low, and 22, his name escapes me, is young. You can tell he's going to be good. He's huge, but they are so good at being in the right position, and they make you make difficult shots. They switch off the ball very well. They're able to mix up defenses. What's kind of your view of Gonzaga? Because once they start running and they turn it into a track meet, they're going to score.
Well, hey, and I know we saw that firsthand. I mean, they're so explosive offensively. Their transition game is incredible. And kind of going back to Baylor a few minutes ago, I think with Baylor, you can't have live ball turnovers against Baylor. A live ball turnover against Baylor is a bucket on the other end. And that's kind of when they run. Gonzaga runs the whole time. Gonzaga loves to play in transition, and they got guys that can beat you in a lot of ways. I thought from seeing them live, I thought Ajaya and also Suggs, just as from an athletic standpoint, was what made them better this year than they have been in the past. They've always had guys that could shoot the ball. I think Timme inside is just, I mean, he's an animal down there. I mean, he's going to find a way to put the ball in the basket. I'm looking at the stat sheet. He had 28 against us. Kispert had 25 against us. And so those two guys obviously can score the ball. But I think their athleticism and their defense, people don't talk about them defensively, but they're good defensively. They'll switch 1 through 4. They'll keep you in front. They do a really good job rebounding the basketball and then running and kind of getting into that transition game pretty quickly.
Yeah, Timmy's footwork is unbelievable. I mean, the way he's able to create shots. And again, it doesn't have to look pretty. And I always say, listen, you're facing a guy and they're this deep in the tournament. You go play him and he's got a headband and high socks. It's a problem. It's like you're going into the Y or Frank Brown down there in Auburn, and you coming in, you're in high school, 17, 18, you walk in, see some older guys running 5, and you're like, oh, God, let's get our squad together and just run them out of the gym. Then you get skunked 12-0 and don't understand what happened, but you just got pump fake and fundamental to death. But, Coach, before I let you go, I do got one more question for you. Roy Williams and Lon Kruger announced their retirement. Two guys that did it the right way, that are very well respected in the sport. I know just for a second, with those two guys leaving, can you just talk about, the legacy that guys like that have left, for the generation beneath them and what they mean to the game of basketball?
Yeah, obviously you're talking about two legends, especially Coach Williams and what he's been able to accomplish and really put his footprint on the game of basketball. Really just, when you think about the secondary break, right? You think about North Carolina, when you think about some of those actions, that little back screen and lob, and you see those big guys who roam that little area in the key. I think he's put his stamp on the game, and that's two big losses for our game. It really is. When you think about overall and just following college basketball like I have for a long time, those are legends, and they'll be missed.
Definitely. And, at the end of the day, everybody's career ends, and be very excited, to see who takes over there. But I know there's exciting stuff on the Plains, Coach. I know you guys are recruiting. You're super busy. I really appreciate you taking some time. Where can everybody find you on social media to follow you? I know you're talking to recruits all the time when you can and stuff like that. And I know you're a busy guy.
Yeah, Instagram at Coach Prewett, and then on Twitter at _Coach. I think it's Coach Prewett _AU, actually.
Hey, there you go.
I need to check on that.
Hey, well, they'll be easy to find it. Just Google Coach Chad Prewett. You're an easy man to find. But tell Coach Pearl we said hello. Can't wait to talk to him again. Best of luck to you. I know you guys are grinding out there, Coach. It's always an honor to talk to you, and I appreciate you coming on.
I appreciate you guys. War Eagle.
Hey, definitely. And I appreciate you guys checking us out. Make sure you head to the jboyshow.com to get some merchandise. Check it out. We got Masters Week coming. It's Masters Week, baby. Pimentos and cheese, fathers and sons, friendship forever, the cleanest grounds of all time. You can see the pictures. Got unbelievable shows next week. We have Bobby Jones IV. Let me say that again. Bobby Jones IV coming on to talk about, what his family means to the game of golf, the timeline of golf, where we're at now, and really the opportunities that were laid out by his family to be able to get here on the Mount Rushmore. You talk about the green jacket, you talk about the Masters, you got to talk about Bobby Jones. So make sure you subscribe on our YouTube channel. Got some big stuff coming. Check us out on Apple Podcasts and Spotify as well. For Coach Chad Prewett, I'm Jake Crain, the Jboy Show. And like Bryson DeChambeau off the tee box, I'm gone.
The Jboy Show is produced by David Cohn, Technical Director Dave Hammock, Creative Director David Culbertson, Audio Engineer Feyzan Shareef, Production Assistants Blaine Crain and Kyle Orr, Executive Producers Jake Crain, Vince Thompson, Steve Chamberlain, and David Cohn. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and visit our website, thejboyshow.com, for updates regarding our newest apparel and merch designs. Win the water cooler with the Jboy Show.